There's only one person, really, to finish the show with. We've talked about illegal... Well, I'm going to do an impression. Henry Bolton, hello.
Hello, Jeremy.
Stand by. I'd like to say to everybody listening that illegal migration to the UK makes me very, very angry. And although 30,000 people have come into the UK whilst I've been Prime Minister, this is because the weather's been nice, as Mrs. Balls has told you. I'm going to smash the gangs. Goodbye. What a load of old tripe, Henry. It's just a soundbite, isn't it? Oh, it makes him angry. Well, do something about it, right?
Indeed. Look, I put a post out earlier today. You know, it's great talking about it. It's great spending money on it. But isn't it time that we had a government that was decisive? And I'll tell you what, hats off to Robert Jenrick for actually taking the initiative, taking the sentencing guidelines forward. And actually, he's the man, above all else, that got this U-turn from the Sentencing Council. So good on him. But why couldn't the government do that? Why does it take a shadow minister to do that? You know, the problem is that they are trying to cater to two different audiences here. As you quite rightly pointed out just now, he's got, and Peter as well, the art of the politically possible. In the Labour Party, he's got a party that is part of it, absolutely signs up to open borders. Another part of it is far more pragmatic and starts to get the idea, and I think he probably does as well. But he's got to present as though he's meeting that public demand to do something about it, whilst keeping his party together. And that's a fine line. But the bottom line of that is, the outcome of that is that he's not going to be effective. Add to that, that one of the problems here is, and one of the reasons they keep talking about this and throwing money at it, is because they don't know how to solve it. I've said it before, but I was pleased to hear the Prime Minister say that he was shocked to see the lack of coordination between the different agencies working on our board.
Just hold on one second there. Just hold on one second there. But this is my point, H. He was shocked to discover the lack of coordination. Are these people, our politicians of all sides, are they deaf? I'm not allowed to say dumb, that'll upset somebody, but I mean, is there no common sense? Because anybody who is in the slightest bit invested in what's going on, and one would hope politicians of all sides would know that this is a catastrophic disaster that nobody seems to be able to find a solution to. And actually, when I speak to you, more than anybody actually, it makes perfect sense. I mean, we all know about Rwanda. We all know that apparently we have to process them offshore. But why we can't train individuals to say to people... I mean, I understand about the legalities and all that. Make it harder to come and make it less attractive to be here. And stand up against the world to protect your own people like Trump's doing. What is wrong with that?
It's not rocket science.
No.
But the problem here, in that sense, in that regard, is that he goes to agencies that themselves are flawed when it comes to this. The National Crime Agency is, they're good at what they do, but what they do is policing in the UK. They have virtually no Scooby as to how things are worked across the southern Balkans, parts of the Middle East, the Near East, and so on. They don't know, and they don't know the diplomatic side of the things, and they don't know the intelligence side of things as they should do. So what I've been banging on to the point that I'm even boring myself, that we've got to bring all this together under one roof. You've got to have one framework, one government framework, not the Home Secretary and the Justice Secretary and the Foreign Secretary and all these different people with subordinate people working underneath them, tasked with doing X, Y, and Z, who are always going to be sort of, well, I work for my government department, so I've got to answer to my junior minister or my whoever, and it never comes together. I've done this. I've put it together for other countries that had the wisdom to understand that they didn't know how to solve this. They needed somebody to come in from outside to help them. And the government, this government, the previous government, the governments for the last, God knows, 25 years, have thought they've known best, but have actually gone to people who ultimately failed to deal with this in the first place, either through poor decision-making at the political level or at the operational level, because they don't know. And that's not their fault. But where do you go? I mean, if you talk about transnational organised crime, where are you going to go? To be fair, you're going to go to the police, aren't you? But the police don't know, because the police don't operate in Albania or Northern Macedonia or wherever it might be. They don't know. So you've got to create the means to do that, and you've got to pull them all together so that the police are working with the Foreign Office are working with the Ministry of Justice, etc., etc. It's not rocket science. We can put that together in 8 months. I say it, and I say it, and I say it again, and if Keir Starmer watched your show, he'd know that that's the way to do it, because I'd have told him and he'd gone, oh yeah.
Talking of which, do you remember when you applied for the job or requested an interview or whatever, who did they give the job to as their border czar?
A police officer.
And have we heard Jack from him in 9 months? Because I haven't heard anything from that man.
No, we haven't, because he's sat there with his budget and his 100 people who are all spread across the other different agencies with no policy framework, no strategy, without the power to coordinate them, without having access to any minister who can actually start whipping people into line. It is no good finding. Look, I'll give you a little analogy, because this is what happens here. I worked in a country where, when I went in, they had already appointed somebody to coordinate the national strategy for borders, and I was supposed to be helping that person. He didn't have a clue. He was a police officer. Didn't have a clue. Anyway, so I accepted that setup where a police officer was the boss. I went to see the head of customs, and because he wasn't really cooperating, and I said, "What's the problem here?" He said, "Look, I'm in the Ministry of Finance. I work to the junior minister, who works to the minister, who sits in the cabinet. He is a police general who answers to a deputy minister, who answers to the minister, who sits in the cabinet." He said, "I will take instructions from my minister, but not from a subordinate within the Ministry of Interior."
So what you're talking about, and we have it here, and I don't want to rush you, but we have to move in a sec, is that there's no coordination. Everybody has their own agenda. Everybody's got their own ideas,
and they're all protecting their jobs.
Yeah.
Yeah,
listen.
and
If I've said this once, I'll say it a million times. You should be sorting this out. Just very, very, very quickly. Robert Jenrick complimented massively over this. I wonder if the Tories are wishing they'd make him the leader rather than Cammy Badenoch. It's interesting, isn't it? 10 seconds response to that.
I think politically it's a no-brainer. Politically, if Robert Jenrick was leading the Conservative Party, I think reform would be on the back foot. But we shouldn't underestimate the challenge that Robert would have if he was leader, because he's got the same problem as Reform have got, as Labour have got, as everybody's pretty much got, and that is that his party is split between two different ideologies. Half the Conservative Party should be in the Liberal Democrats.
I would talk to you all evening, Henry Bolton. We love you. We love the big flag and the check shirt and the tie from the club. You're looking the business. Henry Bolton on Talk Drive. Thank you, my friend.